How can you turn AI into a force multiplier in your business? How can executives make sure they're also getting hands-on with the technology to understand what it's capable of? And which Super Bowl commercial featuring AI won the AI Know-How Emmy? Hi, I'm Courtney Baker, and this is AI Know-How from Knownwell, helping you reimagine your business in the AI era. As always, I'm joined by Knownwell CEO David DeWolf, Chief Strategy Officer Pete Buer, and Chief Product Officer Mohan Rao. We also have a discussion with Pankaj Chawla of 3 Pillar Global about the difference between everyday AI and game-changing AI. But first, the news. Pete Buer joins us as always to break down some of the latest AI headlines and how they apply to your business. Hey, Pete.
Hey, Courtney. How are you?
I'm doing good. So our first story today comes to us from Verge. Google's AI now goes by a new name, Gemini. So long, Bard. We hardly knew ya. Pete, is this a big deal for business leaders?
So what I found interesting about the article was some of the subtext and then some of the commentary. It was as much about Google having a dog's breakfast of names for its different tools and applications as it was about the AI itself. And so, long story short, all of Google's various AI tools are now hanging together under the moniker of Gemini. And when you take a moment to examine the offering, it's solid, competitive. There's the base Gemini Pro, and then for $20 a month, you can access the premium Gemini Ultra, which offers a larger and more capable LLM. Sort of consistent with other offerings you see in the market. Why should leaders care? I think this becomes interesting as a question about the environment that you're running in your office. You know, does the fact that Gemini is closely linked to all the other Google applications in a fairly seamless way and can help you start your email, organize your spreadsheet, just as you're opening those applications up, does that make Google, at least for the time being, or maybe with some time, feel like a better ecosystem environment to run your business on than the Microsoft competitive offering? I think that's just where the debate will be and where this gets interesting at the end of the day.
I'm so curious, Pete, where you're putting your dollars. So have you switched over to Gemini's offering, or are you sticking with ChatGPT for the moment?
You know, for the purposes of being able to talk about them together
Yes.
on the podcast, I kind of use everything and am constantly getting the shortcomings and the benefits of all of them at once. So I can't say I've lumped myself in with just one platform at this point.
Well, that is great, and probably maybe some inspiration for some people out there. Just try them all. See what works best for you. Next up, AI was prominently featured in a number of Super Bowl ads. Pete, I'm sure you saw some of these. Ars Technica noted in their article titled The Super Bowl's Best and Wackiest AI Commercials. Pete, if you were handing out an Emmy for best AI-themed Super Bowl commercial, who's taking home the hardware?
At the risk of making this whole segment about Google, I do have to say the Pixel 8 ad showing how it uses AI to help the visually impaired take a picture was pretty compelling. I am, of course, a sucker for applications of technology that lead to something resembling making the world a better place, however, and so I'm drawn to that one first.
Great one.
It would be easy to give the second place runner-up to Microsoft for what was a very clear and helpful and articulate representation of Copilot, but what fun is that? And so instead I go Minions. Little yellow henchmen making fun of AI with 3-legged people doing yoga and cowboys riding dachshunds. Like, that's kind of at least what our room needed at that moment in time. Our family room full of grandkids and kids was kind of rolling on the floor. So Minions gets my vote, not just for entertainment value, but also for the slick reminder that this technology that we're so enamored by and that is so advanced still has its shortcomings.
That's great. I do think it was interesting just to see that theme and really how prevalent it was across so many different commercials at the Super Bowl. Pete, thank you as always.
Thank you, Courtney.
How can you tap into the power of AI so it serves as a force multiplier for your business? I sat down with David DeWolf and Mohan Rao to talk about how they see AI becoming the ultimate lever for executives in the years to come. David, Mohan, how are you?
Awesome.
Great. How
Good
are
to see you,
you?
Mohan.
Nice
Hey,
to see you,
Courtney.
David.
Oh, that sounded okay. You were way more excited.
I
about Mohan
always
than
put you
me.
first. I decided to change it up. I mean, they're getting bored
Yeah.
with my same thing every time. So
It was like, hey, Mohan. Hey, Courtney. We'll work on it.
Keep
We
you
got
on your
more
toes.
episodes. We got more episodes. David, Mohan, in a previous episode, we discussed, is AI getting it on board in your organization? Is it do or die? And in that episode, we ended with not yet. It could get there, but not yet. Today, I want to take kind of a step further into that discussion and discuss what parts of AI, what are the areas that we can apply AI to actually be a multiplier, really like 10x what we're doing. So I want to just throw that out to both of you. Where do you see the areas where AI becomes this huge multiplier in our businesses?
yeah, I'll start with just reminding everybody of the frame we've used before around the altitudes of artificial intelligence. I think the robotics, the execution, right, doing actual physical labor, doing knowledge work, but the individual task of knowledge work, right, accelerating a blog, those types of things, those have huge returns. Make no mistake about it. But if you look at where productivity is actually driven, it's in the coordination of multiple work streams. It's in getting a system to work together to produce a result. And that's the operational altitude that we've talked about. I really, really believe that it's the operational and ultimately the strategic as well will help us to do smarter things, not just things faster and better and more efficiently. I think it's those two horizons which we're just on the frontier of, right? We're just starting to tap into where the impact is going to really accelerate, and we'll see ROI multiply by orders of magnitude.
Just like David said, the highest thing that you can do is to reimagine your company using AI, right? What is your strategy? What was it before? And what is it now? That is the biggest leverage point. Obviously, that's a little longer term in the way it shows up in results, but that's the highest leverage point. And below that is figuring out how your company shows up to your customers, right? So can you offer new products? Can you build core capabilities of your company that are differentiated using AI? These are the highest leverage points, Courtney, as we think about it.
One of the things that makes me think about is just, I think we can learn a lot by looking historically at how different technologies have hit before. I'm remembering back right now as we talk with the mobile revolution. Remember the iPhone was launched and all of a sudden everybody had to have a mobile app. I'm not sure there was high ROI in a lot of those apps that were built. We spent a lot of money on it. We experimented with it, learned, but a lot of them was just brochureware, right? That we took websites and ported them over to mobile. Maybe got us a little bit of lift because people could look at it on the street, but it wasn't revolutionary. It wasn't until the technology matured and business models started to take a different approach of how we could think about it. One of the very first breakthroughs that I remember was leveraging the phone to deposit my check in the bank, right? I remember USAA was on the forefront of that. And what a breakthrough when I could use my phone to make a deposit. That was like, boom, wow. And I feel like it started a cascade of, whoa, this technology can be used for different things than we've ever thought of before. And I think those moments are what are going to come that drive that operational and strategic change that Mohan just referenced.
It'll show up differently in B2B versus B2C companies. So if you use your mobile example, absolutely what you said is true about B2B companies. It was just one more form factor. Whereas it gave birth to a whole bunch of B2C companies because of the mobile revolution.
David, Mohan, is there a set of questions or a thought process that you could help executives have? As you're looking, again, we have so many tools coming so quickly. Sometimes it may even be hard to really figure out which horizon they're in. Marketers are very good. Shout out to the marketers. Is there a set of questions to help executives figure out, is this the type of tool that actually is going to help me really 10x what we're doing versus, hey, it's going to be a great asset. It's going to help with productivity. Certainly has its place in time, but isn't going to be this huge mover.
Yes, absolutely. In one of the last episodes, we talked about this is more or less a Horizon 2 technology for most companies. That means companies should be experimenting with it. What does that mean? Right? So you got to create a list of use cases. These use cases could be either internal or external. Internal as in this is a core capability of my company in the way my company is organized is an internal capability. A product or a service that you offer and using AI in that is an external capability. So you got to organize this and start experimenting with one or two or three of these, depending on the size of your company. That's generally how we at Knownwell think about it.
The other thing I'd add to that is just some simple advice that has nothing to do with the technology itself, but just good leadership. I think it's really important that leaders give themselves space. What we're talking about is reinventing your business and reimagining the world. That doesn't happen when you're in the weeds, when you are being reactive. That doesn't happen when you are drowning in your inbox, right? And I think creating that space to be able to really wrestle with and imagine what the world can be is really important. We are at an inflection point where we're going to see massive changes. And if you're not giving yourself time to think about and observing what other people are doing so that you can connect dots and help take it to the next level and keeping your company abreast, I think you're falling behind and you're digging that hole we talked about in a previous episode in terms of it's not do or die, but don't dig a hole so deep that you get buried, right? And I think that's an important thing for leaders, especially right now, to think about and help them get through that innovator's dilemma of being able to disrupt themselves and get to the other side of this period of change.
That's really good. Andre Yee, who was a guest on our podcast very early on and friend of the show, posted recently on LinkedIn, and he said, ChatGPT is like Excel for generative AI. And he talked about, what happened after the invention of Excel and then all of these different, platforms and apps that emerged built on that technology. And it's interesting to kind of think about this moment of the tools that will 10x. We would all say Excel is a great tool, and most of us probably use at least Google Sheets on the regular, but none of us would look at it and be like, that's what's really drove amazing change in our business. It's probably those other tools that got built on it. And so I think that's a great comparison for where we're at right now. Anything you two would add to that analogy?
Yeah, I'd add that I don't think you know accountants very well, because I would say that they probably would say it was transformative for their business, not just ancillary, right? No, but all jokes aside, I've used the analogy of it. ChatGPT to me feels like a green screen, right? The interface is so just rudimentary. I think we're going to be shocked. I don't even know if that is at Excel level yet, right? I think there is going to be a revolution of user experience, right? What Excel did was it made a user experience for the ability to compute mathematical equations, right, in rows and columns in a way that wasn't available to the everyday user. I think you're going to see more and more smart applications of AI leveraging different ways to tap into the artificial intelligence. And I don't know that we're there yet.
It's a long ways. I'd say other than generative AI, expert systems for most businesses is another area that's going to be a fundamental building block for the future. Because if you think about what AI is, it's really exhibiting characteristics of intelligence that's human-like, right? That's the canonical definition of what AI is. And so between be able to have a conversation and generate text and images, it is be able to get the expertise of the company into an expert system is going to be a critical building block for the future.
One of the categories, just as a side note, that I think is going to be totally disrupted is knowledge management. I don't know that knowledge management's done well at all, but when you say that, that's what I think of. I think kind of next generation knowledge management is going to take a huge jump forward, I think, in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And even, if you think about how knowledge is represented today, it's a very poor form that we have, right? We write long documents. Probably Wikipedia is the best we have that we can think of. But in the future, knowledge representation of how things are captured is going to be dramatically different.
For those listening, I hope this was a helpful conversation to help you as you're looking at new AI tools and a lot of new technology coming really quickly, how to start thinking about how this might be a multiplier in your business. David, Mohan, thank you as always.
It was a ton of fun.
Thanks, Courtney. Thanks, David.
We've talked a lot today about what an AI-enabled company looks like. And if you want to experience one or want to be on the cutting edge of getting this technology in your business, we've got good news. It's exactly what we're building here at Knownwell. Go to knownwell.com and you can join our beta waitlist today. Pankaj Chawla joined Pete Buer recently to talk about the difference between everyday AI and game-changing AI. Pankaj is the Chief Innovation Officer at 3Pillar Global, a digital product development and innovation company that helps companies compete and win in the digital economy. Full disclosure, 3Pillar was founded by our very own David DeWolf, and he currently sits on the company's board of directors.
Pankaj, so great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
Of course, some of us at Knownwell are familiar with 3Pillar, but I was hoping for the listeners who are not, if you could offer a little context on the sort of short version of what 3Pillar does and where AI fits in.
Yeah, 3Pillar is in the business of building software products for clients who are in the middle of their digital transformation journey. These products come in all flavors. They could be front-end products for consumers, which is more like digital products. It could be back-end custom enterprise products that are built for employees and business partners, or it could be data and AI products. So we understand the full life cycle of a product from its inception to the point that it has to be sunsetted or invented, and have broad set of capabilities to carry out such a daunting task as sometimes to build a product, from UX to architectural design to product management and of course engineering and quality engineering that goes hand in hand with it. To your question on AI, we look at this as a natural extension to what we do because these products create data exhaust, and our clients want to tap into that data and understand more insights and what it means to them so that they can make better business decisions. So we carry out things like dashboarding, analytics, building model endpoints, and plugging that back into the core products that we build. So that's a natural extension of what we do.
There was a conversation earlier in this episode, and I saw a reference to the same frame on your website, this notion of everyday AI versus game-changing AI. Can you give me your take on the distinction between the two?
Yeah, we just posted that one lately, but I got to give Gartner credit for their framing of these terminologies. Everyday AI is AI that makes us better at what we do already, just makes us faster, more efficient, more cost-effective, and helps speed up some of the grunt work that people do. So these are more classic machine learning type solutions that exploded in 2010 plus, and we're still doing it. They do things well that they're trained on. So from my perspective, that's your everyday AI, and I would argue most of the AI we see is still everyday AI as of today. Game-changing AI are things that really would change the business model itself, would help invent and deliver on new products, new services, perhaps new capabilities in the back office as well that are game changers, so that you are really reinventing the business itself. You could say some of that comes the new LLM large language models do have some of those capabilities because they are doing things that they were not trained specifically for, but I would still classify that as more of a beginning of stages of game changers versus an everyday AI. It's more of an everyday AI.
Are you able to give case study examples of each?
Yeah.
Are there some projects you've completed where the customer's like, okay, share this with the world?
Yeah, so everyday AI solutions we built one for a nuclear plant where safety is a big concern, and we delivered a solution where we built a lot of data gathering from IoT or IIoT sensors, the 24,000 plus sensors out there that capture the data, and then monitoring that data for safety and predictions on things that can go wrong. And proactively fixing and addressing those issues.
Nice.
It's pretty common in the industry segment to go down this path. So that would be an example of an everyday AI work that we have done. We have done a lot of computer vision type solutions where you are recognizing previously trained objects and events and classify them, and then alert and raise events so that you can do the appropriate workflow for the clients and plug them into. So its applications could be traffic, airport safety, those kind of things. And we built some solutions around computer vision and detection and workflow around that. Examples of that comes to mind for game-changing AI would be, let's say, a computer self-driving car that once it eventually reaches its potential, will change the business of auto industry as a whole. So that is something I'm super excited about, looking forward to seeing when that comes to fruition, save all those accidents that humans create on the road every day, even though we are less forgiving on machines. Yeah, I was excited about seeing in CES the rollout of Rabbit R1 device. If you heard about it.
I ordered one. I just haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, nice. That would be a game changer if it can do what it indeed does. So that they have built a model that can get into and authenticate your apps and work, and AI becomes a new UI at that point, and you don't really need those little user experiences that are built into the phones today.
Given your role in the business and the role that the business plays in building and creating advanced products for companies, it's probably hard to imagine that there are still many companies out there who are very early days getting up to speed on AI and its impact on the business, and thinking about where their best application is to start making a difference. Do you need, as an early practitioner, to be implementing everyday AI before you start worrying about game changing? Like, is there a logic to a change management logic maybe to the order of attack?
Yeah, I think there definitely is, because you have to learn how to crawl and walk before you can run. The big challenge with AI and AI solutions is not the training, not the building those models and endpoints. It is getting the data infrastructure in place that is sound. The data has to be solid. It has to be rich. It has to be secure. It has to be unbiased, and collecting those data sets. And I think that's the biggest blocker for most companies to realize the value of AI, unless you are those companies like Google, where they are building all kinds of big solutions and they have investment to pour into it. But when you get down to smaller companies like, let's say, Pizza Hut chain, how do you use AI at that point, and is it worth the investment it takes to get the data right? Those are barriers, I believe, for many companies to get started. So as they get into more of an everyday AI, which I truly believe this, everyday AI will not be too much of a sustainable advantage. It's going to be table stakes very soon, and most companies, if not all, should be using it. So you have to really learn to build those solutions and understand the idea of having data infrastructure and cloud computing to nurture the data related solutions you're building to start to leverage the game-changing AI. And it starts a mindset that starts to make you feel and understand the value of data. And of course, you got to take a step back and see, how can I do this better and better? So it's a journey. It's not an overnight to realize the full potential.
You have such a wonderful vantage. You're so, present at the creation on the interesting work that's happening in the space right now. For listeners who are still early days, pulling their AI task forces together and starting to do the strategy workshop exercise of identifying customer pain points and operational pain points and trying to figure out where the best applications of AI belong in the business. What advice do you have for these folks to help accelerate them up the learning curve?
Yeah, I would definitely start with creating an advisory group, an AI advisory group or a task force that includes representation from functions in the business, like legal should be represented there, security officer should be represented there, engineering, of course, business. Once you bring these different competing, oftentimes, groups together in an advisory board that has a common vision to adopt AI and see its potential applications within an enterprise, then you start to make forward progress. The next thing I would say is, as this group starts to take on work, go bite-sized, go smaller chunks, because especially if it's not an inherent technology company. We have a world of use cases that we look at where AI can be applied as enablers. Look through that list of use cases within your own corporation and see which ones are prioritized higher. It could be driven by market demand. It could be driven by the product costing. It could be driven by customer experiences, which is super important nowadays. Those factors, rank order them and pick the use cases that will provide the best solutions to your problem. And then start small. Don't try to boil the ocean. Start small with the first and second use case. Start, like I talked about our product lifecycle methodology. Start with inception, ideation, and then it's a quick MVP. Take it to the market, even if it's internal market, to see if it really is bearing that fruit that you thought it was going to bear.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to have you today, and fantastic to meet. Thanks for your time.
It's been an honor to be here. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks as always for listening and watching. And if you don't mind, we would love it if you would help us by reviewing the show. It really helps other people find us and brings more exposure to AI in business. Before we go, we always like to ask one of the major AI tools what they think about the topic we're discussing in each episode. So today, hey, what's up, Claude? Welcome back to the show. We want to get your take on how to make AI the ultimate multiplier in business. What do you think?
AI can be a powerful multiplier for business by automating repetitive tasks and providing data-driven insights. However, success requires aligning AI initiatives with core business goals and building trust through transparency.
And now you're in the know. We'll be back next week with more headlines, roundtable discussions, and interviews with AI experts.